The 2030s will be remembered as the decade when biology stopped being a fixed destiny and began to look more like a system humanity could carefully, deliberately redesign. Beneath the surface of everyday life, a quiet revolution unfolds, one that reshapes reproduction, family, and the very continuity of human existence. At the center of this transformation lies a technology once considered speculative science fiction, now moving steadily toward reality. This is not a marginal innovation. This technology will redefine life in the 2030s as we know it. Welcome to FUTURIX, your gateway into the future unfolding just ahead of us. In simple terms, gametogenesis means creating human reproductive cells, eggs, and sperm from ordinary body cells, like skin or blood. Instead of relying solely on the cells we are born with, this technology allows scientists to reprogram adult cells and guide them back into a reproductive state. In the context of the 2030s, this means that people who could never have biological children before may suddenly have that possibility, using their own genetic material without complex or invasive procedures. As the decade begins, gametogenesis moves out of experimental laboratories and into early clinical applications. Initially, its purpose is focused and cautious, helping individuals who have lost fertility due to illness, medical treatments, or age. Cancer survivors, for example, become some of the first beneficiaries, able to have children using cells derived from their own bodies rather than donors. What was once irreversible loss becomes, for the first time, a recoverable condition. But the implications quickly expand. Same-sex couples gain the possibility of having children genetically related to both partners. Individuals who never produced viable reproductive cells can now participate fully in biological parenthood. Even people who delayed having children for decades discover that age no longer defines their reproductive limits in the same way it once did. The traditional biological clock begins to loosen its grip on human life planning. By the mid-2030s, gametogenesis starts to reshape how society understands family itself. Parenthood becomes less tied to chance and more to intention. Decisions about when and how to have children are increasingly deliberate, planned, and supported by medical systems designed around long-term well-being rather than urgency. Fertility clinics evolve into life planning centers, integrating genetics, health forecasting, and psychological counseling into a single process. This shift ripples outward into the economy and the workplace. Careers are no longer structured around narrow windows of fertility. People take longer educational paths, change professions more freely, and delay major life commitments without the same biological trade-offs. Entire industries from healthcare to insurance to education adapt to a population whose life trajectories are more flexible and less constrained by age. Yet with this new freedom comes profound responsibility. As gametogenesis matures, society is forced to confront ethical boundaries. The same tools that allow the creation of reproductive cells also enable deeper genetic screening and selection. While the 2030s stop short of widespread genetic design, the groundwork is laid. Governments, institutions, and cultures struggle to define what should be allowed, what should be regulated, and what should never be crossed. Importantly, this technology does not exist in isolation. It emerges alongside advances in artificial intelligence, predictive medicine, and personalized healthcare. AI systems assist in modeling genetic outcomes, identifying risks, and ensuring safety. Medicine becomes increasingly preventative, aiming not only to create life, but to optimize the conditions under which that life begins. Culturally, gametogenesis subtly transforms how people think about legacy and continuity. Biological lineage is no longer fragile or accidental. It becomes something that can be preserved, paused, and resumed across time. Families span generations with greater intentionality, and the definition of inheritance expands beyond wealth to include health, resilience, and long-term planning. As the decade draws to a close, gametogenesis stands not as a finished revolution, but as a foundation. It prepares humanity for future decades where biology and technology intertwine even more deeply, where reproduction, health, and identity are shaped by conscious design rather than biological limitation. If you're enjoying this journey into the future, make sure to subscribe for more episodes of FUTURIX. The 2030s do not mark the moment humanity abandons nature, but the moment it learns how to work with it at the deepest level. Gametogenesis quietly changes the rules of life, not with spectacle, but with precision. And once those rules change, The future unfolds not as a possibility, but as a certainty already set in motion.